Hey guys, we're going to do something fun and kind of a new little series for Weightlifting Academy, which is going to be called Wine and Weightlifting. And the goal here is we're going to do two things. We're going to review a cool bottle of wine, because we love wine. And at the same time, while we do that, we are going to discuss what happened in the gym, because obviously we just got our asses back from the gym and lots of cool lifting was going on. And that means we can tell you about all the interesting shit that... not just like what happens, but more specifically like how that applies to you, like any lessons learned or the stuff we were trying to work on with lifters, and then you can like check out our YouTube channels and see the lifters in action afterwards, you know, like all that kind of stuff. So we thought this might be actually kind of an interesting way to do that, and we like wine, so it also gives us an excuse to just continue to drink. So for fun, because we said this is a wine and weightlifting thing, we are going to review a bottle of wine that she picked out.
Well, we picked it out together.
We did.
This is it right here. Ooh, look, you can't see the label.
There we go. So
Okay.
hold it up really close. Mars and Venus Sauvignon Blanc. So there's this place pretty close to the gym, which is like a wine merchant place.
Except for it's not close to the gym.
Okay, whatever. It's in the same city. It's close enough. Asheville's not very big.
The gym is west, and the wine place is east. It's called, like, what, Tunnel Wine or something like that. Anyway.
Something like that. It's right next to a vitamin shop. That's how we found out about it. We were buying supplements at a vitamin shop.
And there was wine next door.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
They had a wine tasting. They have wine tastings every Friday night and every Saturday afternoon. So we went to the wine tasting on Saturday afternoon after the gym, and this was one of the bottles of wine.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, the thing is, like, I like red wine generally better.
Yeah, we like red wine.
And it's kind of weird because when I do like white wine, I generally like sweeter white wine, even though I don't really like sweet wine. But
right.
This was the first wine we tasted, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was just awesome. And then I don't want to say the rest of the wines sucked because they were good, but
it wasn't the fault of these other wines. They were probably fine.
In comparison, the other ones we tasted just sucked.
But they got their asses kicked.
Yeah, so we bought like 3 bottles of this one. So that's what we're drinking right now. Because it's summery.
It is. It's summery.
And it was like almost 80 degrees.
It's pretty freaking dry.
Hot.
It's not like a sweet white wine. It's actually relatively dry.
And if I knew anything about actually reviewing a wine, I would probably say there were like some undertones of something or other.
Yeah, there's totally undertones of like
fruit and sunshine.
Of sunshine.
Unicorn breath.
Yeah,
I don't know.
it tastes.
It's just really good.
Yeah,
I don't know. What
it tastes like
the
universe, man.
Mars and Venus.
So the important thing actually isn't so much probably the wine, but the weightlifting. So even though that wine is pretty good, so if we do say thumbs up on Mars and Venus. Sauvignon Blanc is a good for us. We like it dry white wine. We're drinking it chilled. It's white. Apparently that's what you do with white wine.
Would you really say it was dry?
I would say it's pretty dry. I mean, it's not like red wine. No. Not like it's Zinfandel or something.
Not
but
like, well, and it's not like super sweet like that. I made him try, people from North Carolina will know, because I'm sure so many people in North Carolina are watching this right now, but I made him try Scuppernong wine.
I didn't know what the fuck
which
that
is
was.
not good. But Scuppernong grapes are like ridiculously sweet grapes.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a muscadine or something. It's not anything that you would drink because it's delicious.
Yeah, it was
you needed some culture.
Sweet.
You needed some North Carolina culture. So anyway, this is not like that.
No.
So anyway, on to weightlifting.
You didn't though. You were going through a rehab, but also jacked it up phase. She's trying to become as buff as humanly possible.
I'm fat right now.
She keeps saying that. Her abs are showing more and more every day, so I think that's actually the anti-fat. Yeah. But you are, in fact, getting more jacked. That's a fact. And you're doing some cool stuff. Like she's doing partials right now. So, interesting thing. We're going to eventually write up a big old post about this. Her training routine and how it's going and everything else. But one of the things we're doing is her knee is a little bit wonky. So we're avoiding full squats.
Yes.
So that's interesting, right, for any weightlifter, to avoid full squats. So how the hell do you do that? Well, you work around it. I mean, you don't have to actually squat. That's not literally true. It's just a lot easier if you can.
He's going to go to hell for something.
I know. I'm going to go to hell. I really came close to going to hell for that. Like a couple of years ago, I don't know when it was, like I released a couple of posts where like I said that flat out, like you don't have to squat, you know, like you don't actually have to. And I almost got shot. That was ridiculous. I mean, it's funny because, I'm the guy who's pushing the 21-day squat cycle or challenge, for Christ's sakes. I mean, like, obviously I like squatting, but...
A lot of squatting.
A lot of squatting. In fact, my squat program is probably the hardest squat program on the planet right now.
On the planet.
I think so. I think if you actually do the 21-day squat challenge combined with, as it's supposed to be, combined with the squat nemesis program, if you do that...
You'll die.
You might die. Which is what I want. I want you to die and then be resurrected as a squat vampire. That's a shout out to you, Peter Curcio.
But I don't even have to full squat.
Yeah, so how do you work around not being able to squat?
Partial squats.
And what do? Well, you just break it up into its component parts. What are the main things that make the squats are good for? The squats are good for building up your ass, your hamstrings, and your quads. That's the main point why you do them.
My ass is like the size of Mars and Venus right now.
A combination of Mars and Venus. Their ass is enormous. So how do you do that? Well, here's how you do it. You just focus on some big compound movements that hit those things directly, but avoid what's really hurting her, which is like maximum like flexion at the knee joint. So in other words, like the bottom of a heavy squat. So she's doing partial front squats out of the rack at multiple pin heights, and she's doing them for like, because she is trying to also gain mass, like not just...
Yeah.
She's not just trying to get strong.
I was waif-like, and I needed
she was like a waif.
Like
clearly, you can see that in her videos. She's scrawny as shit. She actually was scrawny as shit at one point. Like, if you go back really far in her YouTube channel, it's hilarious, because she was like this skinny, and that's like not a joke. She was like literally in the way that British people say it.
Really bad at
it was not literally. She was super skinny, but she is not that right now. She's significantly buffer than that. But she wants to be even more buff than she already is.
Like Kendrick
Ferris.
Yeah.
Which is totally awesome. And
but not 94 kilos.
Right. Maybe 75 is fine.
75 is just fine.
So she's doing a combination of strength training / like hypertrophy training.
Yes.
And so she's doing like heavy partials and then doing like massive back offsets of like...
Like the first time I did it, he told me to do a set of 10, and everything else that he has me doing is like barbell rows and...
Yeah, she got a lot of...
It's like all like 5 sets of 10.
Yeah.
So he told me to do a set of 10, but I interpreted as sets of 10. So
on the partial front squat, so she did that.
3 sets of 10 from the pins after I was done with a bunch of heavy triples, and then I couldn't walk the next day.
It was ridiculous. Her quads were fried. So that's one thing you would do, right? Like if you are fucked up in the old knee joint and you can't go low in your squats without pain, you don't actually have to do that. You can work around it. So the higher end of the squat, like once you're well past parallel, that's mostly quads at that point. So if you're doing squats off the pins, and the front squats are a great one because your back is still like this rather than bent over. So when you do work off of pins, it's going to be way heavier. Way heavier. So that's a problem. If you are bent over and you're putting your lower back possibly in a little more like strenuous place, but you don't have to worry about that if you're in a front squat position. So she's doing that.
And then RDLs.
And then RDLs for the hamstrings, and then
I experimented tonight with a back offset of 10 on RDLs. So we're going to find out how that works.
It's going to be interesting, yeah. I think she's not going to be able to walk yet again. And then she's also doing, we're going to start doing, actually, we haven't started yet, some hip thrusts. So
yes,
get excited, Brett.
We ordered our, the
Hampton bar pad. It's going to be awesome. And I've obviously talked about hip thrusts ad nauseum for a while. Because it's badass, literally badass.
And then I'm doing pull-ups because I'm going to be because pull-ups suck and chin-ups are awesome.
Yes. And
I have biceps, so I love chin-ups and pull-ups. They're stupid.
Good biceps.
They're just stupid. So I'm doing pull-ups because
you want to make them less stupid.
No.
You're going to make them smart.
So yeah, when you're fat, it's not fun to do this, but I'm doing them anyway. So. Yeah, and then other people did stuff too.
Other people did stuff. Chelsea's kicking ass. She's getting back from basically her thesis project stuff, so she was like really out of commission for a while because apparently education's important.
Yeah, go to college.
Yeah, she did the whole college bit, and she's finishing up her degree in like conservation biology, and
which is
pretty awesome stuff. Yeah, like she showed me some of it. It's really cool. But that was taking up a lot of time, so she's done with that now, and she's starting to get back into heavy training. So we worked a lot on her power cleans and power snatches, and we're going to be doing that for a while. Why? Because she is what I would term a diver, meaning when she hits her hip, She does really, really well with the bar. She always has the hip hard on both the cleans and the snatches. She then just dives to the bottom immediately.
She was a gymnast, and she can do that.
Yeah, she's not afraid of the bar.
My body can't actually physically.
People who, like, keep pulling, you might call pullers, they hit the hip and they just keep on pulling, they never get under the bar. This is actually a lot of people. Are the opposite of this. Someone like Chelsea, she just dives to the bottom on every single rep. This has two problems. One is there's a safety concern. If you dive to the bottom, you might do what our lifter Amy does, where you just drop bars on your head all the time. This is a problem. Second one is that you will often undercut the amount of power you could have put into that lift. So you never really get through all the way. And that means you're missing lifts that you could have made. And then the last one is that, like, your quote-unquote third pull, I really hate the numbered system of pulls. But
I never use those numbers.
you have to come up with a whole new system. So,
I'm my own person. I don't have to use those numbers.
Yeah, it's really silly.
Because other people said so.
Yeah, I don't really like it either. But
I just like to be contrary.
Pull from the hip to the catch, there's more pull going on there. This is like a little more advanced thing. We don't teach this immediately, but it's something that has to be learned eventually, which is you are actually still actively moving the bar after it hits your hip until it gets into the receiving position, whether it's the lockout and a snatch or it's on your shoulders in a clean. That's an active process. That's not a passive process. And what happens with someone who's a diver like Chelsea, she'll hit the hip, boom, fall to the bottom, and the bar just kind of floats for a little bit and then crashes on you. And that's a real problem because it could either break your lockout, and again, that's like the dangerous part where it can like land on you, or you're just not going to really be in a solid enough position to catch good weights or whatever, or you're just not going to put the bar where you need it. So if you're actively pulling on that bar from the hip to the catch, then you're going to catch it in a better position than you will if it just sort of does its own thing for a while and you do your own thing for a while and then you like hope to meet up eventually. That's not very good. The whole, Sleepless in Seattle thing doesn't work out so well for you in a bar. If you're too young, you're going to have no idea what I'm talking about. So being good at the power versions is very important for people who have a tendency to overdive, because you're going to be forced now to really finish getting your hips through, to really pull the crap out of that bar and pull it up a little higher than you otherwise would have thought to do it. And so that's what we're working on with her. So if you are a diver, getting really good at power snatches and power cleans and making that something that is a component of the full lifts rather than like a totally separate thing. Like if your brain, like there's the power snatch and then there's the full snatch. Like you're either completely standing straight or you're in rock bottom position. You have a lot to learn. They're actually the same lift. It's just that when the weight gets heavier and heavier, you get lower, 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 lower. And so that's what we're working on with her, and it's going to result in some big PRs. She came very close to matching her power snatch PR today, so that's good.